It was a new day, and it was time to see if the chassis had survived overnight, which amazingly, it had. I cleaned up all the welds and everything looked pretty good. The floor pans were certainly not going anywhere. And after removing all the slag and having a nice little clean up, it was time to protect these welds with, again, my favourite new primer. And with everything nicely protected, it was time to do a very technical test. And with that, part 1 of the chassis restoration, mission complete. But what was next was a much bigger task, the head section. Not only do we have to make sure the new piece is welded on with the utmost strength, we have to make sure it is precisely measured, or the car won't drive in a straight line. We needed to get as many measurements as possible, both with the front axle on and with it off. The more data we had, the better off we would be putting the new one on. Using a plank of wood and some axle stands, we set the car at a fixed height. We then picked our points that we'd be measuring from and to, and it was time to pull out the tape measure. And with the first technical drawing complete, it was time to get this front axle off. And with the front axle out the way, it was time to take even more measurements. What made this even more tricky is the dimensions of the original frame head were marginally different from the remanufactured frame head. Now, this is almost a given when you're purchasing remanufactured parts, and it just means you have to be even more diligent when measuring up. Another tricky thing is there's no such thing as a perfect measurement. With classic cars, they are all built within tolerances, so no car rolled off the production line exactly the same as the next. And then, after 50 or 60 years of life, as I mentioned earlier, the chassis, they bend, they twist, they change shape, so every car is completely different. So even though we are taking